I think it's really important, if you're going to address a large problem, is to thoroughly assess it and come up with goals and initiatives and then implementation in order to accomplish the task that's before you. It's really important that we do what we can and make the changes necessary to create a safer, cleaner environment.
KERAMIDA's Livable City Solutions is a city and campus approach that delivers people-centered and place-based solutions grounded in community engagement and equity from inception to implementation. Hi, my name's Amber Graney, and I am the Livable City Solutions Manager at KERAMIDA. We work with cities, communities, and colleges to develop tailored plans to accomplish some of their most ambitious sustainability goals.
I'm Bridget Susel. I am the Community Development Director for the City of Kent. In 2017, the current administration at the federal level had pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Accord.
The Paris Climate Agreement is the first ever legally binding international treaty on climate change. It is binding to 194 countries that have signed it and really aims to combat global warming and keep global temperatures well below 2 degrees Celsius pre-industrial levels. So the Kent City Council passed this resolution and said, we are going to achieve this goal to be net zero by 2050. And we were brought on to then help them develop strategies to achieve that goal.
Sustainability as a driver of climate change in our community came in 2017 when our volunteers came to council and said, we are not in support of what the federal administration is doing. We think we need to be heading in the opposite direction. And heading in that opposite direction means we need to get ourselves a plan, even if we don't have that support at the national level. The Climate Action Plan was a responsibility that I was managing in conjunction with the volunteers on our Sustainability Commission, several of which who actually were already part of the ad hoc committee that we had been using to develop our greenhouse gas. We were guided completely through the process by KERAMIDA, which we needed that type of professional technical guidance. It was really an initiative driven by KERAMIDA, but they engaged the public, the administration, as well as the elected officials in the process.
My name is Judy Nelson, and I'm a resident of Kent, and I've lived here for the last 18 years. And I became involved with the Climate Action Plan process through the Sustainability Commission back in 2017. Once we decided that we would hire a consultant for the city to do the Climate Action Plan actual work to create the plan. As the ad hoc committee that was working had worked through the greenhouse gas inventory, we decided to kind of look back and look around to see where we had been, where we were as a community from an environmental standpoint. And what I realized in that process was that there are a lot of individuals and groups who have been working all throughout this time period to make Kent more sustainable and more resilient. And I was just truly, truly amazed. And we really need to make sure that we acknowledge and express our appreciation to those groups for the work that they have been doing, because it really, in my mind, it has enabled us to plant this climate action plan into very fertile soil. And I'm quite certain that the Kent community will be able to see it as a value and utilize it.
The Climate Action Plan is a significant initiative for the community because while there was always commitment and an earnest engagement of volunteers in bettering the community and supporting sustainability, we finally have a guide. We have a plan that identifies strategic goals and initiatives that we can work towards. It was a direction that was needed because without that, we weren't really making any progress with addressing some of the matters that we had identified in our greenhouse gas inventory.
My name is Julie Morris, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Kent and for Kent State University. It's a newly created position, and I will mainly be working to help implement areas of these plans that overlap. So the action plan is going to provide us, it acts as a sort of living and guiding document that's going to help direct us through our plan to reduce our emissions. It just gives us that overview and direction that we need to then further develop specific strategies. So the action plan actually provides us with over 15 different strategies to reduce our emissions. What we found from our greenhouse gas inventory that we had previously completed was that our commercial and residential energy sectors were actually our greatest areas of greenhouse gas emissions. So there are some really helpful suggested strategies like developing a municipal energy plan, among many other suggestions that cross about 5 different focus areas for the overall plan. Our biggest achievement at this point that I just want to reiterate is that we completed our greenhouse gas inventory and our city council fully supported and unanimously approved this climate action plan. Those were tremendous points in the process, and we look forward to so many more as we move through implementation of the plan.
The climate action plan that was developed for the city by KERAMIDA identified 5 strategies: stationary energy, transportation, waste, forestry and agriculture, and education and outreach. Using these strategies, the city now has a template and a plan that will allow us to identify specific activities and objectives under those strategies to move forward and address the greenhouse gas emission concerns that were identified in the first phase of our climate action process.
Hi, I'm Melanie Knowles. I'm the Sustainability Manager for Kent State, and I've been involved in a number of ways. Before the Climate Action Plan, the city had an ad hoc committee that was working on the greenhouse gas inventory, and so I participated in that along with others from the community and from the university. So the city and the university have a long-standing relationship, the whole town-gown relationship that has been built on for years. It just made sense for the university and the city to collaborate. Plus, none of us live in a vacuum, so what each one of us do affects the other, and we want to be pulling in the same direction and collaborating instead of being blind to what the other is doing. So this plan will definitely benefit the university, partly because the Kent campus of Kent State University is in the city of Kent, and so we are constituents of this. Also, there's a lot of opportunity for partnership using our researchers, using our students, giving them experiential learning opportunities and sharing resources. So the university will have a role. There are a couple of items in the city's climate action plan that specifically talk about working with the university. We're looking at how we deal with food waste, inedible food waste, and that's a way that we can collaborate. And also tapping into the resources on campus, such as our students, our researchers, our classes, experiential learning opportunities for our students, but also producing products that will help the City of Kent or Kent businesses or organizations to move forward in what their initiatives are.
Hi, my name is Catherine Burns. I'm a rising senior at Kent State University studying environmental studies. I've been an intern with the Office of Sustainability since I transferred in my sophomore year. One of the main topics that we talked about was transportation. So I know Kent State students use the bus system, and we talked about more pedestrian and bike-friendly walkways, and I personally just bought a bike. So I definitely personally resonate with that, and getting students more outdoors and using these systems and infrastructure would be a great way to make use of the climate action plan.
I think the biggest thing to take away from the university and the City of Kent's partnership on this is the communication, the collaboration, the openness, the willingness to find ways to work together.
For Kent's Climate Action Plan, I was the sustainability analyst on the project. So this meant I helped organize the community engagement session. I interviewed with community organizations and municipal staff to develop solutions for the city by the city. And this is really essential for tailoring the climate action plan to the community. We don't want to provide a copy and paste plan or a generic checklist. We want to make sure that the strategies that we're recommending for Kent are Kent specific.
I've done this work for a long time and have been involved in a lot of public engagement sessions, and the one hosted by KERAMIDA was one of the best attended I've seen in my more than 20 years in public sector work.
So I came to the community engagement session that KERAMIDA presented, and it was very informative. I really liked the fact that right off the bat, KERAMIDA said, this is a community plan, this is Kent's plan, this isn't KERAMIDA's plan, because it's really important to not have a cookie cutter plan that you just pulled off of a shelf that anybody could use. It really needed to be specific to the Kent community.
Personally, I have heard of a climate action plan before, The community engagement session was announced, so I was interested in seeing what it would look like real time, real people, seeing what it would look like coming together. One of the topics that I personally talked about was being a student and that our time is kind of limited at the university. We're only here for 4 years, so that students kind of feel that there's a barrier to get started on big projects, but I took the leap. I went to the community engagement session and gave my input. So it was great to kind of challenge that and show other students who might be interested in getting involved in sustainability to come join.
It was active, and through that process, we garnered a lot of information that added qualitative support to the quantitative data that we grabbed in the greenhouse gas inventory. And through that, we have a climate action plan that I think is representative of not only the data, but what the community wants.
So we had over 100 ideas that community members, municipal staff, and we generated together. So we synthesized all of these actions down into what is feasible. And within that, we then came out with the final list of recommendations that we provided to the city. We put all of these into a visually stunning plan that's now available for Kent residents to see and enjoy and implement.
My favorite part about the Climate Action Plan was seeing the final product and be able to present that to council and to the community. We've been working on this since 2017, and it has been, for lack of a better word, done through a commitment of staff and volunteers who all had other obligations and focus. So the fact that we were able to come up with a climate action plan that actually gives us guidance and a foundation for moving forward was probably one of the few top 5 highlights of my professional government career, because it's a huge initiative for a community our size, 30,000, to actually have a professionally done climate action plan. I feel like we're ahead of many communities that are much larger and more financially able to do that than in this state. So I feel very fortunate.
One of the great things about sustainability is that it has so many benefits. So this plan is not just a big picture, how will it affect the planet plan. It's also going to help our community economically. It's going to help the quality of life. It's going to help our local environment and create a healthier place for all of us to live and work and play and visit. And there are just too many benefits to mention. There's nothing in this plan that isn't going to have a positive impact on our community.
Really, the Climate Action Plan is a step forward and a way to direct some of that action now into furthering the possibility of the most resilient Kent that we can build.